Jeff Vaca on behalf of the Riverside County Superintendent of Schools in support.
Good afternoon, Martha Albers, the Association of California School Administrators in support. Thank you.
Bob Giovatti, State Council on Developmental Disabilities in support.
Michael Gardner, CTA, but as a special ed teacher, support.
Thank you. Any witnesses in opposition? We'll bring it back to the committee. Comments, questions from committee? Do I have a motion?
Move the bill.
Second. Mr. Chairman, would you like to close?
Respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Secretary, please call the roll. The motion is due pass to appropriations. Due pass as amended to appropriations.
O'Donnell?
Aye.
O'Donnell, I. Olson?
Aye.
Olson, I. Kim? Aye. Kim, I. McCarty? Aye. McCarty, I. Santiago? Thurmond? Weber?
Aye.
Weber, aye. The bill is out 5-0.
Your bill is out 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll go to Mr. Bonta. Item 9, AB 2410.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon to the Chair and committee members presenting AB 2410, and want to start by saying thank you to the Chair and his staff, and we're very pleased to take the committee amendments proposed in the analysis, and also want to say that we've been working closely with the California Department of Education and advocates like Children Now to strengthen this bill. And the changes that CDE will make in the coming months are significant, and we look forward to seeing them implemented. This bill addresses two issues: the Desired Results Developmental Profile, or DRDP system, and that's a formative assessment instrument for young children. The CDE has been looking at this instrument and is paring it down consistent with research to help it be a more effective and useful tool and less of a compliance burden, which reports from the field have suggested that it can be. So we're excited about some of the proposed changes. The bill also creates a process for coming up with a kindergarten readiness definition in California, which is very important because it will create a standard and a goal for our preschool programs to work toward, and something that that will serve as a standard in a place where there's now silence. So it addresses those two areas, DRDP as well as the kindergarten readiness definition. And I'm happy to have with me Kendra Rogers, Managing Director of the Early Childhood Policy with Children Now.
Good afternoon, Chairman and members of the committee. Thank you for having me here today. As he stated, I'm Kendra Rogers with Children Now. I joined Children Now's team in August. Prior to that, I spent the last 15 years with First Five in Fresno County, so have worked very intimately with partners on the ground and really have seen the value of what these tools can do and what they can't do. So first, I just wanted to applaud Assemblymember Bonta for recognizing that the tools we use to measure the progress of our children's development matter. This represents really a move away from a compliance-driven process to a focus on outcomes for children. I also want to thank the CDE for their commitment to paring down the DRDP tool. Doing so is a way to really minimize eyes on paper and instead focus on interactions between adults and caregivers and children, as we know that that's where the real magic happens in terms of improving outcomes for kids. I also want to state that the paring down process matters, and so while we're grateful and very appreciative of CDE's willingness to work on paring down the tool, we think that doing so really requires an open and transparent process, and one that includes the local voice. Again, there's 58 counties throughout the state who have been working to implement this and can really provide a lot of input and insight into how to make this tool most appropriate for developing, measuring outcomes for children. Also want to note that I think it's really critical that we have tools that are able to kind of evolve with the latest in brain science and what we know the research is showing. You know, even just 5 or 6 years ago, the science that we know now is very different from what we knew then. So I think any tool, whether it be DRDP or anything else, really needs to be able to evolve and reflect the best in brain science in terms of what we know about trauma, what we know about dual language learners. So we want to make sure that it really is informed by that. And lastly, we just really look forward to working with the department on the refinement of the tool to make sure that it truly does reflect those things that we know children really do need most to be successful in kindergarten and ultimately for college and career success. So with that, I thank you and ask for your support of the bill.
Any others in support?
Hi, Deborah Kong, Early Edge, California. We submitted a letter of support on April 14th. Think the amendments are going in the right direction and want to commend the author and the department for working together.
Mr. Chair and members, Brendan Tuig on behalf of Cadango. We're an early childhood education and early care provider, nonprofit in the Bay Area in support. Thank you.
Terry Burns, California School Boards Association. We've appreciated working with the author and his staff on this. With the committee amendments, that removes our opposition.
Thank you. Any opposition? Seeing no opposition, we'll bring it back. Any comments from the committee?
So moved. Second.
Been moved and seconded. Please comment. Yes.
I want to ask. Oh, go ahead.
Just a quick question. I'm not sure if it should be addressed to you or the chair or my colleague on the committee, but I fully support your bill. I think it's an excellent bill, very needed in California. But as I was studying, I was a bit puzzled about how your bill and Assemblyman McCarty's bill work together or complement one another or conflict with one another. Can you address that if you're familiar with the bill?
Yes, I'm going to do my best. I'm not as familiar with Mr. McCarty's bill as I should be, but as I understand it, we create a kindergarten readiness definition. I think he proposes an assessment. I think that's the difference.
I see.
I think they complement each other. We'll be hearing from our bill. Hopefully you'll support that as well in a few moments. And our bill really talks as far as expanding access for the many thousands of Californians who don't currently have a seat. And this bill is more of a finite tool as far as describing what the pieces are,
Quality
especially the earlier years.
Okay, thank you. I'll be supportive of the bill.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Weber.
I'm intrigued by this, and I think it's a very good idea. A couple of questions. The use of this instrument or what you're developing definition is going to be used by whom? Is it for purposes of, well, who will use it? I should ask, and how will it be used?
It'll be a way that preschool providers can measure the progress of the kids that they're educating and teaching, and it can also be used at the kindergarten level to help determine which kids have met the definition and which ones need additional support, assistance, educational opportunities. So it can be used by both the preschool community as well as the kindergarten community.
It won't be used to, or will it be used, I should ask, to determine admission to kindergarten?
No, and this bill does not address that issue. It merely creates a definition so that we can all be working towards the same goal throughout the state of California to make sure our kids all come to kindergarten similarly prepared and ready to learn and have an opportunity to succeed in life and career. It does not say anything about admission or testing.
Will the instrument be parent-friendly so that parents themselves can look at the document or the instrument and make some questions or determination about the readiness of their own child?
I mean, I anticipate that there will be a component where parents provide input and can use it as a tool to help their child grow appropriately. That's what the committee will be tackling, though. We're going to put together a committee of the best minds on this issue to come together and address issues like the one you've appropriately raised, Dr. Weber.
Good, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from the committee? Seeing none, has this bill been moved? Yes. It's been moved and seconded. You may close.
Thank you for your consideration, Mr. Chair and members. I think this will provide better outcomes for the children that we care so deeply about here in California, and I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Motion is due pass as amended to the Appropriations Committee. Secretary, please call the roll.
O'Donnell?
Aye.
O'Donnell, aye. Olson?
Aye.
Olson, aye. Kim? Kim, aye. McCarty? Aye. McCarty, aye. Santiago? Thurmond? Weber? Weber, aye.
5 votes. The bill's out.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members, and staff.
Let's see where we're going to go here. Mr. Hernandez, I believe, is in committee, chairing a committee. Here we go. Okay. Mr. McCarthy. Ms. Weber, Dr. Weber. AB 2548. 2548.
I want to start with 2698 if possible.
Sure. I'm sorry, what did you say? Maybe 2698, file item number 17.
Okay, good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members. I'm pleased to present to you today AB 2698, the School Climate and Student Achievement Act. As you know, as we continue to try to not lose ground on students who are from poor and underserved communities, we continue to do so, primarily from African American and Latino communities. It's easy to blame poverty or a chaotic home life alone for the achievement gap, but this is really a defeatist, too poor to learn mentality. Demographics are not destiny. We have 20 years of research demonstrating that a positive school climate contributes to student achievement despite the socioeconomic conditions of those students. School climate refers to the learning environment created through the interaction of personal relationships, physical setting, and psychological conditions. And school climate is the dominant predictor of student achievement levels. Numerous schools have already turned around both suspension rates and API scores by assessing their school climate, implementing programs, and measuring outcomes. School climate improves not only the academic outcomes, but also improves the working conditions of teachers, staff, and administrators. Is a school a place where people feel physically, emotionally, and socially safe, or is it a place where growth is stifled? Is school a place where students are encouraged and inspired to achieve, or are persistent low expectations holding students and teachers back? Is there a way to deal with student behavior problems that doesn't completely alienate them from school, end in suspension, or result in interaction with law enforcement? These are issues explored at the recent Black Minds Matter information hearing held here in the Capitol and also last Friday in my district. And yes, all of these are measurable with the right instrument. AB 2698 would require lowest performing schools to conduct comprehensive school climate assessments that can be used by district LCAP committees to target LCFF resources where they will do the most good. These assessments will include input from stakeholders, including teachers and students and administrators. The bill also requires the CDE to convene a task force to determine best practices for disciplining students using alternative discipline principles. I want to thank the committee staff for their thoughtful recommendations that help to improve the policy overall. We've agreed to accept all of those discussed in the analysis. In particular, we're taking the committee's recommendation for the trigger for an assessment to be the lowest performing 5% of all schools as determined by the Superintendent of Public Instruction and the State Board of Education. With the committee's help, we have developed a mechanism where each school develops its own action plan to address deficiencies revealed by the school climate assessment. We had one of our members had to leave here today who had a success story to share with you, Davion Johnson, with regards to the impact of school climate on his life. But I do have with me today David Bala Hawkins, representing the Alliance of Educational Solutions, one of the bill's co-sponsors.
Thank you, Dr. Weber. Chair O'Connell, Vice Chair Olson, members, David Bala Hawkins with the Alliance for Education Solutions. We are a nonprofit working to improve student outcomes at low-performing schools. Davion was unable to make it, and he sends his regrets. He's one of the students that AES works with. He's also a former gang member. He did provide a very brief statement, though, that he wanted me to read. So in lieu of AES giving its testimony, I'd like to read his statement. My name is Davion Johnson. I'm sorry for not being here today, but I have finals in 3 weeks and need to focus on studies. I wish I could testify in person. My life was born into crime, drugs, violence, homelessness, gangs, poverty, hunger, and abuse. My life was supposed to be over years ago. For life born on the streets, I was not supposed to be who I am today. Statistically speaking, I was on the fast track to prison. I moved all the time and kept switching schools. I sat in the back of the classroom and didn't feel like I had a voice. I felt like my schools didn't care about me, my education, and my development as a person. Getting an education seemed a fantasy, a fool's dream. When I had questions, people wouldn't slow down for me to try and understand me. The 12 times I moved schools, they were all the same until I got to San Juan High School, where their goal was to improve the school's climate and develop young minds. Our school institutionalized programs which gave students voice and power. The school isn't known as the gang school anymore. It's known for its thriving career pathways and student-run programs. My first year at San Juan, I remember there were only a couple of people going to college, and no one was talking about their futures. As I walk the halls today as a district employee, I hear everyone talking about college, students are now thinking about a future. Giving students a voice has changed the school. At San Juan, my needs as a person were met, as well as my education. Not only did I graduate from San Juan High School, but I was asked by the school district to come back as a program developer for restorative justice and other student empowerment programs. I'm now attending it. He's a wonderful young man. I wish you could meet him. I'm now attending a university and want to major in aerospace engineering. This was a former gang member. School climate and culture can change the outcome for our students. All they need is that support. San Juan High School, after 2 years, once they had done a school climate assessment, which guided them on programs that needed to be implemented, the suspension rates dropped by 65% after 2 years. API scores for all students went up 53 points. For Latinos, the API score went up 79 points, and for African Americans, the API scores went up 49 points. The school climate changed from one of conflict to one of cooperation, and teachers, staff, and administrators who previously wanted to leave now want to stay at the school and work with students. Decades of research have proven that school climate assessments are necessary tools to provide guidance and positive change to the culture of low-achieving schools. And we ask for your aye vote.
Thank you. Another witness in support? No? Any others in support? Please come forward.
Afternoon, Mr. Chair and members. I'm Liz Guillen with Public Advocates. We work closely with community-based organizations across the state of parents and students, and we support the bill because we believe it will go a long way in leading toward the culture shift that the priority of school climate is there for, the reason it is one of our state priorities. We look forward to seeing the day when the culture of students and the climate that students and parents are forced to face is really and truly being addressed in our schools so that everyone feels welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Any others in support? State your name, affiliation, and position on the bill, please.
My name is Melvina Martin, future attorney advocating for a special ed and a family law and constitutional law. I have this document for you because I would like to not only, if you can add in your bill, Ms. Weber, to hold the school districts and administrators.
Thank you. You are in support of the bill?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Right. Any others in support? Thank you. Seeing no others in support of yours. If you're in support, come forward. You're not, then stay back.
My name is Carl Pinkston. I'm with the Black Parallel School Board, and we're in support. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Any opposition to the bill? Seeing no opposition, any members of the committee wish to comment? Seeing no comments, the bill has been moved. I will second. Please close, Ms. Weber.
I want to thank, as I said, the staff for assisting us in this. Clearly, school climate is an extremely important element. This past week in our Black Minds Matter hearing in San Diego County, we heard from 3 students, and each one, even though they didn't talk about it, they didn't use the term campus climate, they talked about what their campus meant to them and how welcoming it was and how friendly it was and how they felt comfortable there and how their teachers encouraged them. And so they were talking about the fact that it was a climate for learning and very articulate in sharing with us why it was so important to have that kind of learning environment for them as they were growing. And these were excellent students. So we respectfully ask for your aye vote. This bill requires low-performing schools to conduct school climate assessments for the purpose of providing needed information in the development of the school district's local control funding control, local control and accountability plans, the LCAPs. And so we respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you. Please call the roll. The motion is due pass as amended to appropriations.
O'Donnell?
Aye.
O'Donnell, aye. Olson? Aye. Olson, aye. Kim? Aye. Kim, aye. McCarty? Aye. McCarty, aye. Santiago? Thurmond? Weber?
Aye.
Weber, aye.
Thank you. The bill is out. 5 votes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
With that, we'll move to AB 2548.
2548, AB 2548.
File item number 12.
Right. Mr. Chair and members, the Local Control Funding Formula, LCFF, enacted in 2013, completely overhauled the school funding and planning process. In adopting the LCFF, the legislature established 8 state priorities and required local educational agencies, the LEAs, district charter schools, and county offices of education to adopt a local control and accountability plan, an LCAP. Evaluation rubrics were also required by law to provide a holistic, multidimensional assessment of LEA and individual school site performance and reflect all of the state priorities. In December of 2015, the federal government adopted the Every Student Success Act, the ESSA, which replaces the No Child Left Behind, the NCLB, the alphabet soup of all of educators. The California State Board of Education and the California Department of Education are developing a California State Accountability Plan, which is slated to be submitted to the U.S. Department of Education as early as January 2017. The plan must be approved by the U.S. DOE in time to launch the new TK through 12 public education accountability system for the 2017-18 school year. Absent legislation, LCFS focus on targeting assistance to LEAs based on all state priorities, and ESSA's need to focus assistance on individual schools based on key indicators will result in a bifurcated system sending mixed messages similar to the dueling state and federal systems we had under No Child Left Behind. California students lag behind nationally on achievement measures and rank 49th in the state when it comes to achievement gaps. California's new multiple measure system of accountability needs to provide greater emphasis on growth, equity, and transparency in ways not currently being considered. This bill, AB 2548, will shine a light on our schools and will empower parents, community groups, and educators to take action, one, by establishing a coherent, aligned local, state, federal accountability system that addresses state, local, parent, community, and public needs, as well as federal requirements. 2, by ensuring ambitious statewide standards for performance and expectations for improvement that encourages continuous improvement and the closure of opportunity and achievement gaps. 3, by complying with federal law and establish a mechanism using multiple measures that meaningfully differentiates performance of all schools and identifies schools in need of technical assistance, support, and intervention. 4, by establishing the use of key indicators based on multiple measures in a manner that aligns and coordinates federal and state assistance to school and districts into a single system based on common measures. For elementary and middle school, multiple measures include the pupil achievement of English language arts, mathematics, and science, which is not currently included. 2, the academic growth. 3, the progress toward English efficiency for English learners. 3, chronic absence rates. And 4 and 5, the campus climate. For high school, it will include pupil achievement in English language arts, mathematics, and science, the graduation rates, the progress toward English proficiency for English learners, college and career readiness, and chronic absentee rates. And it will also include the campus climate. Lastly, AB 2598 includes intent language that specifies the system continue to support and advance the framework established by the local control funding formula and California's emphasis on continuous improvement, technical assistance, and support. Witnesses in support here today is sponsored by Children Now and Ed Trust West.
I'm going to ask you to hold off because we're going to bring up the CDE and AXA, and they're not going to take a position on the bill. But before we go to the witnesses, so that they can explain to the committee, it's a great. Listen, I'm glad you brought this up because this is a good way to educate the committee on what's been going on this effort already. A bill passed a couple years ago put this effort in play, and if they could just come up and explain, tell us what already has happened on this issue. Where are we? Give us a timeline, and educate the committee on the work that's already been done on this issue and is not done yet, but will be done shortly, as I understand it. So, if you would.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. Debbie Look on behalf of State Superintendent of Public Instruction Tom Torlakson. As the Chair indicated, the Superintendent has not yet taken a position on AB 2548, but I am happy to talk about some of the work that's going on currently at the Department and the State Board of Education to develop a single, coherent system of accountability and continuous improvement that will fulfill both state and federal requirements. All of the work is going on with broad stakeholder input and involvement through an open public process. As Assemblymember Weber mentioned, the LCFF was adopted in 2013 with 3 distinct components: the LCAP, the evaluation rubrics, and the support and evaluation structure. The LCAP is the important component of the LCFF, and all LEAs are required to prepare an LCAP describing their annual goals for all pupils with specific activities to focus on state and local priorities. The LEAs must use a state board-approved template to complete their LCAP. CDE has recognized that the current template is resulting in LCAPs that are overly complex and lengthy, and is working to produce an LCAP template that is more user-friendly for all stakeholders, including administrators and parents. We will present design principles to the State Board of Education in May and seek their input, as well as broad stakeholder engagement, to produce a final revised template for adoption in September 2016, which would then be in use by LEAs for the 17-18 school year. In terms of the evaluation rubrics, the State Board is continuing its work to develop LCFF evaluation rubrics for adoption in September 2016. These rubrics are central to the assistance and intervention components of the accountability and continuous improvement system. They help local education agencies identify their strengths, weaknesses, and areas in need of improvement as they develop their annual LCAP updates. They also set the standards for performance through specified key indicators, indicating whether LEAs or schools are eligible for technical assistance and intervention. The county offices of education, the department, and the newly established California Collaborative for Educational Excellence will provide technical assistance and intervention for schools in need of additional support. The rubrics will include, at a minimum, the 5 indicators required under the new federal law: student achievement in English language, arts, and math, graduation rates, progress of English learners towards proficiency, 1 additional K-8 academic measure, and at least 1 other measure. In terms of the federal laws, as Assemblymember Weber mentioned, this was signed into law. ESSA was signed into law in December 2015 and goes into effect July 2017. It does provide more flexibility for states to design an accountability system that meets our own California needs, as well as satisfying the federal requirements. Encompasses measures beyond simply test scores, in line with California's commitment to a system incorporating multiple measures and focusing on accountability as well as continuous improvement. Requires the disaggregation by subgroups and allows the state to determine the 5% of schools requiring assistance. We do know that the federal regulations are currently in process and not expected to be adopted until at least late this year. Each state must adopt a state plan describing how we will implement the provisions of the new federal law. CDE is in process in preparing this plan. We'll provide updates at upcoming State Board of Education meetings as the plan progresses, and will provide multiple opportunities for public input. Our expectation at this time is that the State Board of Education would approve the state plan in January 2017, and then the U.S. Department of Education would have 120 days to approve that plan, which would allow, as Assemblymember mentioned, it to be implemented for the 16-17 year, which would be the transition year. The transition year in 16-17 with full implementation in 17-18. Interventions in those schools requiring assistance would begin with the 18-19 school year. And finally, I just wanted to highlight the work of the Superintendent's Task Force on Accountability and Continuous Improvement. This group that's been meeting since September 2015 has included a broad cross-section of stakeholders, up to 30 organizations. This has allowed the advocacy community to come together to develop a shared vision around accountability and continuous improvement. And the task force has completed a draft report, and the final report will be presented to the State Board of Education in May of this year. Some of the key points of agreement coming out of the task force: that indicators must encompass both equity and performance measures, be inclusive of whole child measures as well as academic performance, and recognize the need to celebrate growth and narrowing of the achievement gap, as well as strictly achieving a set academic measure. The superintendent will take these recommendations from the task force to continue work with the State Board of Education and the stakeholders as the accountability system is refined and finalized. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you.
Respectfully, Mr. Chair, before the next speaker, may the author finish presenting her bill? Not with all our witnesses, but...
Going to our witnesses, but right now we're hearing from two entities that have information that I think is relevant, and the committee should be educated on this topic. So that
I couldn't agree more, but is there a reason we're not doing normal protocol?
Now. Thank you. I'm sorry. Proceed, please.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members. Edgar Sassuet on behalf of the Association of California School Administrators. We don't have a formal position on the bill, but we do appreciate the invitation to come up and talk about the work going on. We know the committee usually doesn't like having people up here without positions, but we're happy to share what we can on the work going on. We were asked to just talk a little bit about what's going on with the superintendent's task force on continuous improvement and accountability. Our executive director, Wes Smith, and the president, and Eric Kynes, president of CTA, are the co-chairs of the committee. And as you heard from the department, they've been working since September to come up with some recommendations both to the state board and to the legislature. I think then that's one of the reasons that I think we held off on taking a formal position on this bill. I will say that one of the key objectives of that report is the same as the author's intent here, and it is to create an aligned system both at the local, state, and federal level. That is one of the key principles that will come out of the report. You already heard some of the general themes in terms of demonstrating a commitment to equity, an importance on educating the whole child, and building a collaborative system across all the sectors. So I think the report will give all of our policymakers, both here in the legislature and at the state board, a good amount of content to make some decisions moving forward. The only other piece I guess I would add, you already heard from the department on some of the work taking place. I think from ACTS's perspective, we would highlight some of the work that's also taking place from the practitioners. The state board recently convened the California Practitioners Advisory Group, which is 17 members, administrators, teachers, folks in the field doing this work. And they just had their first meeting last week, and is again the same intent as the bill, same intent as the report you will see from the task force, and is to try to create a coherent system to take a look at what the appropriate indicators are. So I would say everybody is generally on the same page on what that objectives are. You just won't get some of those pieces of information until a little bit later in the process. The accountability report from the SPI, SPIA task force, that'll be coming out again in May. It will be presented at the next State Board of Education meeting.
But then again, I just quick comment. From what I'm hearing here is that there is a process in place. It was actually set up by this body, a couple years ago. I wasn't here.